Hello and welcome everybody to another Talk 6 episode. It's your boy Shannon, and we are proudly brought to you by Golden Goal Media. Guys, we've got a stacked panel tonight, and obviously we've got quite a few topics to discuss. But before we get into all that, let's just get the formalities out the way. Let's get the likes of this video up nice and early. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, guys. That helps the channel grow, and obviously that means we can bring you more content, as well as leaving your comments, guys. Let's get in touch with the panel. Let's share your views. Don't be shy. And without further ado, let me just welcome my guest for tonight. So obviously next to me on the top right-hand corner, we've got Shaylin, who's making his return from last week. Obviously, as you can see, they're repping Man United, Ten Hag in, making his official Talk 6 debut in the bottom left corner. We've got Mr. Rudy Samuel, who is Ten Hag out. We've got him there. And then next to him, we've got Cello, who's repping United in the bottom corner. So a fully stacked panel of United fans, I think, who are rightfully so here to vent their frustrations with their manager, with their team. And I'm keen to hear what their thoughts are. Let me take the topic straight to Rudy. Rudy, bro, United at home yesterday against Spurs, who tend to be quite easy pickings for United at Old Trafford. Surprisingly, some might say, unsurprisingly, some others might say, and convincingly beating United 3-0. What are your thoughts on the game overall? And, is Ten Hag on thin ice? And, is it time to make a change?
We always hear, first of all, good evening to all the gents and all the viewers. It's really nice to be here. What I want to say was, I think he's lost the dressing room. We always hear that all the time, but I really think he's lost the dressing room. I would say this, for example, when you don't want to do something for someone, but you don't have a choice, you don't do it the same way with the same passion. And I think that's what's going on. I think the team is not playing for him, and his so-called favorites, number 10, the crybaby, number 8, and for example, the goalkeeper as well. I just think they get away with so much crime because they know that they're not going to get taken off, they're not going to get told anything. So I just think they're playing against him, to be honest. Yeah, and yesterday it wasn't a surprise, not at all. I could see it coming. Yeah.
Look, we spoke on the panel last week, and I know Godwin was actually on the panel. He's a Chelsea fan, and he was like, he's not like he expects United to lose. And I was like, no, man, I still think United, they've got something there. I predicted a 2-2 draw. Shaylin predicted a 3-1 for United. I think, you just, and my thing was, I thought, okay, Ten Hag is going to pull another rabbit out the hat. Somehow, somewhere, he always seems to do this. You know what I'm saying? But when you watch that game back, it could have easily been like 6-7, and that's not even an exaggeration. Like Spurs should have probably been 3-4 up. Like you got Werner missing 2 1-on-1s, which you have to talk about, But if you just look at, I think United is 3 years, okay, 2 and a bit years into Ten Hag's regime. You ask yourself, what is United's style of play first and foremost? Like what are they trying to do? And it's like, listen, people come back to me and say, look, you supported Arteta when he was having his bad spell. And I always tell them, I was Arteta out because we were losing, not because I didn't think he was a good manager and we had a good style of play. It's like, no, guys, we were losing, and like his run was super bad. But you look at Ten Hag's contract now. I mean, our situation is that, like Rudy's mentioning, it looks like he's lost the dressing room. You don't have a style of play. Fans are frustrated, and I just think Ineos maybe made the wrong decision. Maybe they try to be too much of a nice guy in the beginning of the window. I think if they had sacked the manager, I think a lot of fans would have accepted it because it's like, okay, new management, new owners, just a whole new everything. So let me bring it on to Cello. Cello, obviously, bro, you watched your team, let's be honest, really get dismantled. And, if this is a boxing fight, bro, that would be, you guys would have to throw in the towel, type of thing. What did you make of your performance on over the weekend? And do you think that, listen, maybe it's just a bit of unluckiness for Ten Hag, or do you think, no, this guy's out of his depth?
Look, well, first of all, evening to the viewers, evening to the gents. To be honest, bro, we can't even this last fixture, we can't even go according to that and say it's because of that game he needs to go. There's been ample of games where we played like a lost identity. We didn't have an identity, bro. It's just a whole lot of players running around on the pitch. You're hoping that a sub can make a difference in the game because you 1 or 2 down. There's no tactics. So there's just a mountain of issues here. If you're gonna go to Ten Hag in, Ten Hag out, it really doesn't matter who you bring in. initially Ineos should have been doing the right thing and literally clearing it. Whether that person was a good boy, we're talking from Dallo, we're talking Bruno, we're talking everybody's favorite United player needed to go. Unfortunately, if we are going to start from scratch, as what's his name said in the beginning, before he got sacked, Ralph Ranick, where he said that we needed open heart surgery. You literally needed to clear out, cleanse from the top right down. So nobody should have been safe if they were clearing staff that were eating up money. We're talking about players that are on the offspring. Bro, it needed to be cleared out from the onset. And now you got people shouting 10 out, 10 out. It's not going to make a difference. Who do you bring in to make a difference at this current moment? I was speaking to somebody the other day, and actually today, we were talking about if Senag would be sacked, who would you bring in? I mentioned my manager who I'd bring in, but then when you think about it, are those players willing to adapt to a new tactic? Are they willing to adapt to a new manager style of play? You know, those type of things. And you still got those players that feel like they count their say matters. If they're not on the starting 11, then it's a problem. Your players like Rashford. Rashford, very good player. Unfortunately, that man is lazy. And then he'll do 10 minutes of hard work, and then we expected to praise him. Oh, at least he made a press in this half. Come on, bro. If you're going to be playing on that wing, you're playing in United, you need to be bombing up and down, especially if Dallo's playing that inverted right back role. You're leaving us exposed on that wing. You know what I'm saying? So it's a mountain of things. For me, it really doesn't matter whether Ten Hag stays or goes. It's not repairable at this stage. It should have been done in the beginning of the season. We allowed it to happen because it's a new board. We're excited. Let's give Ten Hag a year and see what he can do, which is kind of fair if you think about it, because you have to. It's a new structure for him. Let's see how well you do under the structure that we are providing you with stuff you never had in the past 2 seasons. Let's see what you can do now. So for me, it's at this point the writing's on the wall. So I'll give him until December, January, but by then he's gone, and then we have an
So
interim. That's how I see.
So just to bring up a point you were speaking about, with Ineos or like giving him the season and giving him what he wants. I mean, I actually don't know if you guys have seen it. I saw it on Twitter earlier. Is the current United squad, how many players are actually Ten Hag signings will shock you. Like this is like 85% Ten Hag's team. That's the scary thing, and it's not even like what's even crazy for me is that it's not even like they've identified players that they think can fit his system. They've identified players that he's coached. He's coached De Ligt, he's coached Onana, he's coached Martinez, he's coached whoever. You know what I'm saying? He's coached some of these guys, and you just think to yourself, okay, you've been in charge of these players. Like, how can you not? One of the biggest red flags for me with Ten Hag was that he said, "I can't implement the Ajax style of play at United," and I was like, bro, but that's what they brought you in for. And when everyone saw Ten Hag come in, I think all of us as rival fans can agree and say, listen, I was a bit fearful because you had seen Ten Hag's Ajax and you saw the style of football that they played, and you thought to yourself, listen, if United can replicate this, they're going to be dangerous. And now you have the manager coming out there and saying, listen, I can't do that. He's just giving a lot of excuses, in my opinion. He doesn't tend to take responsibility. And I think it's a little too late for him to do that now, because he said in his press conference yesterday, I need to look in the mirror and whatever. And I'm like, bro, I think it's a bit too late. I think it's a tad bit too late. Let me just bring it to Shailen. Shailen, bro, obviously, you predicted a big win for your side over the weekend. You predicted a 3-1 win. Look, that went horribly wrong. I won't lie, I was a bit happy. It's kind of weird because obviously I hate Spurs too, but I won't lie, I hate United more. And Rudy knows, bro. Like, I used to get tormented by these guys in high school, bro. So I'm loving this downfall, bro. Reveling it. But obviously, Shane,
Hey,
obviously you had high expectations for your boys on the weekend. And listen, you guys were quite underwhelming, if you're being honest. Do you think that, listen, cut ties as soon as possible, or do you think, what, let's still give Ten Hag the season, maybe he can turn it around and do something, to maybe salvage the season?
mm. First of all, good evening, everyone. I am utterly disappointed. That score was firstly embarrassing. I was actually at a point where I hoped United didn't score, because if it was 3-1 the other way, I'd have felt even worse. Because I'd be like, yo, that's a reverse prediction. It's just, you know what? From the Bruno red card to Kobe Mainu going off, I was first of all, I was really happy when I saw the starting 11 that was released, and I was like, "Yo, you know what? We maybe have this in a bag." First 2 minutes was utter nonsense. It was just like the fact that Van der Ven literally skyrocketed past us, and then I got my cousin sitting with me who supports Arsenal, and he's like, "Don't worry, he does that every game," and I'm like, "Yo, but he shouldn't be doing that to us." And I'm like, no, this is not what should be happening with such a strong backline. With regards to Ten Hag, you know what? Referring back to what Cello said, who are you going to bring in now all of a sudden? There's there's not much of a replacement you can bring in right now. Yes, we do have Ruud van Nistelrooy as our assistant coach. If Ten Hag has to get sacked, then obviously he will take up as our head coach. But right now I'm sticking with that process of like, you know what? I think maybe I am a bit clouded by the fact that, yes, we've won our two trophies in the 2 seasons and stuff, but it's utterly embarrassing now because we need to stop living in the past. The trophies happen, the wins happen, but now the job isn't done. Now we need to be competing for major trophies again. And that performance yesterday is not a clear indication of a team that wants to win the Premier League.
Can I just add on to that? Never mind winning the Premier League, even competing for top four, bro. I mean, you think that team can even beat a top six team at this current moment? And just to add on, like the excuses need to come to an end. At this stage, United fans, Ineos, everybody, we have to. Our bed is made. We need to lie in it. You look at everybody that's come in that's new as a manager. They've all come into something new from where they were previously. I mean, honestly, that man made what, one signing and unbeaten in the Premier League, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm.
No, they
Literally,
did. They did lose one, but I know what you mean. Like you can see there's
did they lose
something
in the
there
Prem or was it in the
Yes.
in the Prem against Forest.
Oh yes, Forest? But I mean, look at his team already ticking. We can say whatever we want to say about the DNA was there already for him to thrive. What happened to United the moment Fergie left? There was no DNA
Mm.
left about. You get what I'm saying? From that moment,
The
it was just
heritage, the
down.
culture left.
Exactly. So at this point, we just have to go with the flow up until such a point we can get somebody that's worthy to come and help the team. We can talk about
Yeah.
Ruud van Nistelrooy. In all honesty, have we ever seen him win trophies as a elite manager? No. I don't want to
Mm.
play risk it with my team at this point in time. I mean, there's a lot
Mm.
riding on it for everybody that's concerned at Man United, So I just feel we go with the flow. I'm not Ten Hag in anymore. I'm neutral at this point because what if, as I said, whether he stays or goes, it won't make a difference. At least let us try and get to January, and then we take it from
Mm.
there.
And
I want to bring Rudy in quickly. Rudy, obviously hearing what the guys are saying here. Do you have anything that you want to add?
I've heard what the gents have said, and the Glazers, right, over the last 10, even during Ferguson's days, have created some sort of a weak mentality in Man United fans. I'll tell you why. Manchester United was known to go and get what they want, when they want, how they want, right? Van Persie, today's time, they would have said, nah, he's a rival team player. We can't go, we can't afford him. They said, nah, we want to win the trophy. Top goal scorer, come. And he left. What I want to say is this thing of who do we take? Listen, whoever is the best manager out there, Man United can afford them. These guys have a serious amount of revenue. They can get whatever they want, whenever they want, however they want. Like the Glazers have really toyed with us, making us nah FFP. We have to balance the books. If they want, for example, Hans Flick from Barcelona, he's got a release clause. They can pay it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't fall for that. Number two, we spoke about DNA and all of that stuff. What I have realized, the problem at Manchester United is probably what goes on behind the scenes. We've just said Ten Hag has 7 or 8 or 9 of his players that he has coached in the past, but there's a consistent problem. So what I believe is happening behind the scenes is that these guys are coddled too much. They are protected too much. And I think Ollie made it worse because he realized, no, I want to get the culture of the dressing room back. I want everyone to be happy. In elite football, you're not there to be happy. We're there to win. Do you understand? Pep Guardiola, there
No,
by Man.
100%.
If someone's not playing well, he'll bench you, bro. They signed that guy Wolves. What's his name again? That midfield.
Nunez,
Have we seen him?
Mateus Nunez. No,
Seen him
not
play?
really.
Why? Because he's not up to standard. Calvin Phillips,
Mm.
him after what, a season or two or half a season, you're not up to standard. Move. On our side, Manchester is red. Oh no, this player needs time. Mental health. Yeah, I get a chance. We've all been through difficult times mentally. I get it, but elite football, there's no time to be soft.
100%.
So behind the scenes there, I don't know if it's the receptionist or the cleaners or the chefs, someone is doing something to these players behind the scenes that even new players get into that same wavelength. I think his name is Cello. Yeah, Cello. We can get any manager we want. We can get, my guy. You know what I'm saying? Any manager we want, we can get. Burnley, Bayern Munich went to them. They were like, "We want your guy. He's got a 4-year contract left. We're gonna pay out the clause, and we're gonna get our guy." Did Burnley say no? Everybody has a price, you understand? And then on the other side of it, the DNA behind the scenes is a very weak one. Rashford, he cries every game. He gets subbed off, he wants to cry. You know what I'm saying? So someone is doing something. Luke Shaw, he's been there 10 years. What has he done? He broke his 2015. We were in first year varsity. You know what I'm saying? And today it's the Luke Shaw broke his leg. He's 30. I'm a 96. He's a 95. Yeah, he's 29 this year. Do you understand? So the mentality is super weak there, and I can't take it anymore. I can't take it anymore.
Just to speak on some of the issues. Let's talk more about the game yesterday. There's obviously a lot of talking points. One of the big talking points yesterday was obviously Bruno Fernandes' performance and Bruno's red card, right? And obviously I've seen a bit of discourse among United fans over the past couple of weeks, asking for Bruno to get dropped or whatever, saying he hasn't been performing well. Do you guys think that maybe him being out of the team for the next couple of games might be a blessing in disguise, or do you think there's just so much around United, especially as a team, as a football club right now, that no matter what you guys do, whether you stick or twist, not much is going to change? Rudy, let me bring it back to you, bro.
Personally, I think there could be a change. However, I think the element of risk will be taken away, because one thing he's good at is taking risks. Because if a lot of these goals had gone in from the chances he creates, we're talking a different language, to understand? Because he's always taking, over the top, Rashford, Garnacho, and then they miss. But yes, there will be a change. I think it'll be more of a controlled game. Whoever plays in the number 10 role, it can be Eriksen, it can be Mount. So I'm really seeing a more controlled game from us without him, but I'm seeing less chances created. Yeah, that's my opinion.
Well, I actually just want to ask also something. Obviously, we saw yesterday. Look, United have spent a lot under Ten Hag. Let's not deny that. It's about £600 million spent. Whether you can consider like that £600 million spent well, I don't know. I just think you look at players like, for example, you have a guy like Anthony yesterday, £80 million signing, doesn't get on the field, and you're losing. And again, it's not like the signing wasn't forced on Ten Hag. This is his player. He coached him. Like, it's just that there's so many mistakes that United are doing from off the field. Okay, I wouldn't even say off the field. I think Ineos are doing. I think that they're doing the right things. It's going to take time, but on the field, I think I was watching a video earlier where one of the guys was saying it's that United are not even doing the basics. United are not. Are they tracking their runners? Look at the goal yesterday for Van der Ven. That guy runs from his own half, bro. No offense, Ugarte, you are the defensive midfielder. Kick the shit out of that guy, bro. Like, kick him, bro. Kick him. Like,
Take the card.
You know what I'm saying?
Take the card.
Yeah, exactly. It might be early in the game. You kick him, you get the card, you stop the game. Then you look at it. Van der Ven makes the run into the box, cool. He makes the run into the box, cool. Crosses the ball. Brandon Johnson is alone. You look, okay, now where's the fullback? I thought Dallo was actually covering the center. You see Dallo. Dallo's like the penalties at the edge of the box. Like, he's not tracking his run, and it's those small things like that start to creep in, and it shows the mentality of the players. It's like, today when I'm feeling in the mood, I'll do it. Then when I'm not, how do you build a team or a club to be successful when you cannot do the basics right? You know what I'm saying, gents? We all play football to whatever level you play, but there were certain non-negotiables. You have to run, you have to work, you have to just have that effort level. And once you have that base of effort, then obviously I think results come. Let me bring it to Cello. Cello, obviously you guys are, you lost Bruno Fernandes, you lost Kobe Mainu yesterday. I don't know what the extent of the injury is. Do you think that looking ahead to United's next couple of games, that if Ten Hag loses against Porto in the Europa League this week and against Villa in the weekend, do you think ironically it might be good evening for him, or do you think that Ineos stick with him until January?
I definitely don't see him. Two losses in a row. If we include Villa, make it three, then it does make it a bit more shaky. The media presence is going to be much more stronger and harder on him. But I think Ineos also don't want to look incompetent by just sacking him right now, because I mean they chose to give him a contract extension. So by them doing that, that already shows that they've already started their business with an L, if I put it that way. So to avoid looking incompetent, I think they run until maybe the new financial fiscal look at things like that, and then I think by January, Mates is out. But just to run it back quickly on what things said just now with regards to we can get any manager. We're talking about the team not doing the basics. This has been going on for years. With whoever manager you want to bring up, it's been going on under LVG. Yes, the players played better, but there were still those that couldn't do the basics. It happened under Ole, it happened under Mourinho. We won't even talk about Chris Face. What's his name? From Everton. We won't even talk about that one.
Moise.
Moyes or Chris Face. We can't even talk about him. So for me to hear someone say that we can get whoever we want because we are Man United, by name we are, but in front of football, bro, we are no better than a championship team. We got no respect as a club right now. We get no respect. We can't say we are United. We can go get anybody we want. We can go get the best tactician, and they still will fail at United right now. So
And I hear you, bro, but money talks, trust me, because each coach is going to want to feel like a Superman. Like, nah, I can change these guys. And they're
have
paying
we
the rest
not
of
done that?
that.
Have we not spent 600 at least every second season? 600 plus every second season. Money's been talking. In the
Yeah.
last 10 years, money's been talking for it's done nothing. So is what it is, mate. You get what I'm saying? I hear you, but hey, money is not gonna win us nothing. I'm sorry. Maybe a Carabao Cup again.
Let me bring in X here. Obviously, X is just joining us a bit late, guys. X, obviously, the panel's been speaking about United's performance yesterday, and by the looks of it, the panel is quite unanimous in regards to Ten Hag, probably needing to be sacked. After watching that performance against Spurs yesterday, and just how dominant Spurs were, and how Spurs just looked like they this is only their second season under their manager, but they looked more like a cohesive team than United. X, do you think that it's time for United to just cut their ties and be in the hands of Ten Hag, or do you think Ten Hag maybe give him the season, maybe he can surprise some people again, maybe sneak top four or another trophy, or do you think what, you've seen enough from this manager and it's a no-go?
How's it, James? Sorry, I'm a bit late. Yeah, bro, like it's been 2 seasons, no results. I think at this point, I personally think he should go, but also the players' attitude, man, it's not on point as well. Um, it's like changing curtains in your bedroom. It's still the same bedroom. So we can say Ten Hag can go, but who are we going to bring in and change the whole situation? You see, I don't see anyone that can come in and change the situation, because also the players themselves, the attitude is just off. So yeah, it's a tricky situation. But yeah, as long as the players they're not gonna change their attitude, whether or not 10 stays, it's not gonna change anything.
Look, I think with United, and I'm more in Rudy's camp. I don't think it's a matter of who do you get, whatever. Look, with Arsenal under Arteta, and when we had Emre, everyone was like, you know what, you want to sack Emre, you've just gotten him from Wenger, who do you replace him with? And look, we took the risk. We took the risk of bringing in a manager like Arteta, quite literally inexperienced. And listen, it wasn't without its turmoil. But I think with United fans, I think if you guys are sitting in this position and Ten Hag's got his style of play, you just happen to lose against Spurs and that kind of thing, I think you guys have a lot more patience. I think the frustration for United is that you would probably take a less experienced manager that can somehow bring in a style of play. Like there were links to Kieran McKenna from Ipswich, right? And a lot of United fans are turning their nose, saying, no, he's played in the championship only, whatever, whatever. Look at Enzo Maresca at Chelsea. Look at Arteta, who's never managed before. It shows you that sometimes it's not necessarily the name, it's about the culture that needs to be created. And I think with United, one of the unfortunate things that you see now is that Ineos were kind of, I wouldn't say strong-armed into it, but you look last season, Rashford gets a new contract. This season, Bruno gets a new contract. So even if these players are performing badly, you cannot really let go of them. You can't really let go of a Bruno because who's going to come in to pay those wages? Who's going to come in to pay Rashford's wages and pay the amount of money that you want? So immediately, the new manager that's coming in is going to struggle to kind of get a system going because you're going to have the player power. What I think United should do is do what Arsenal did. You're going to have to cancel contracts, bro. You're going to have to, like we did with Aubameyang, you're going to have to cancel contracts. Same with Ozil. You have to be ruthless. And I think that's what United always were, a ruthless club. People used to joke about Fergie time. That is a level of ruthlessness. To be able to score in the 90th minute is not luck. It's not like so many people say Arsenal, the dark arts about scoring from corners. No, we are just effective and we're ruthless from set pieces. You cannot tell me that in our last 3 games to score 3 goals from a set piece is luck. It's not. So I think the problem with United is that I think a lot of fans are, first of all, the fan base is divided. Some people are Ten Hag in, some are Ten Hag out, some are saying, Bruno's a good leader, some are saying Bruno's not a good leader. So there's no cohesiveness in the fan base, and that's just spilling over into the club, into the players. There just seems like a lot of friction, and I think if you're going to give the job to someone like Ruud van Nistelrooy, which I think makes the most sense because he'll get what Ali got, which was time. In my opinion, I think that's what the only thing that you can give Ruud is that he'll get time. People will say, listen, this is not his team. These are not his players. So let's give him from now to the end of the season. And then what I think can happen is from now to the end of the season, he can suss out, the type of players and the type of personalities and characters that he doesn't want in the team. That's just my opinion. And then you look at the summertime, you can maybe get rid of Bruno, get rid of Rashford, cancel those contracts and bring in different kinds of players because, Ruud had maybe it's another Ten Hag is that you looked at him in Dutch football and he played really well. Can he replicate that in England is a different story, So look, I think we covered the United side of it. I think, it would be a bit unfair not to speak about anything about Spurs. Look, I'm an Arsenal fan, and obviously I want to speak to you. The rest of you guys are United here, but how impressed were you guys with Spurs yesterday? I'm going to bring it back to Rudy. Rudy, speaking about Spurs, what did you make of their performance yesterday, bro? Dom Solanke getting another goal. That's a couple goals in his last couple of games. Brennan Johnson, and what do you just make of Spurs as a team in general?
To be honest, we kind of gave them the game. However, I like what Ange is doing because he's brought something to Spurs that they never had under the previous guys, Nuno, Mourinho, etc., etc. Do you know what I'm saying? And I really love that Van der Ven guy. You should know, growing up, I was always about pace and seeing a centre back that fast, like nothing goes behind him because he's got the pace to cover. Do you understand? And I really love what Brennan Johnson is doing after going through what he went through and the criticism. He came back the correct way, unlike some people. He came back, scored. I was very disappointed in Timo Werner. He was so poor in front of goal, and I just really enjoyed how they played like with one midfielder, one like sitting midfielder, and they were playing away. Because usually when people go away, they tend to sit back and play on the counter. But these guys were like, no. We're going to gain possession of the ball and we're going to make sure we penetrate Man United. And that's exactly what Spurs did. I think Big Ange really, had the right tactics for the game. And at the end of the day, just outsmarted us. And then the red card made it worse because, playing against 11 men with the ball, it's just another game. But I think Spurs really played well yesterday.
100%. And look, I was going to quickly bring it over before obviously go on to our next topic. Maybe just bring it to Shailen. Obviously, Shailen, bro, you, like you said the other day, you predicted a 3-1 win for United against Spurs. But how impressed were you, obviously, I won't call it neutral, but obviously from the losing side
Mm,
to have experienced, I think Spurs, that was one of their better performances. I think that's where you saw what Postecoglou was trying to do with Spurs. High intensity,
mm,
high press, scoring lots of goals. I think, Spurs XG yesterday was like, I think it was like 4 or 5 point something, where United's XG was 0.9. So basically on stats, United were not predicted to even score a goal, and that's at home. So for
mm,
Spurs to limit United to like not even a XG of 1, I think that was a solid performance. Yes, the red card does play a part, but I think the red card didn't change anything. I think
mm.
Spurs were so on top of the game that regardless of whether it's 11 versus 11, 11 versus 10, I think there was a Spurs game to win. I just want to find out from you, Shailen, how
Yeah.
impressed are you with Spurs, and do you think that they can mount a top 4 challenge, bro?
Mm. So, okay. Now, based on my profession, and now you know what I do, obviously as a mindset coach, and like based on what I've seen with I'm trying to pronounce his name properly, Post, Postacoglu, right? Someone correct me if I'm wrong. I've seen a bit of the things he said when it involves the team's mindset, when it involves the performance, the mentality that you need to implement from a mental stage before actually putting it out into the physical, right? And literally, they've been doing that. Not only did they do this to us once, they did this to us twice. We played them last season, we got beaten by them. We had Basuma running the field last season. Now, this season, we have Van der Ven. We have um, even Werner, as terrible as he is with his finishing, the fact that he was outpacing Mazarawi, the fact that he was bossing up the field, it is kind of sad that he was missing those things. Like, as you said earlier, we could have caught a 5, 6, even a 10 if Onana never come to our rescue, right? But then again, the rescue is kind of pointless because we already conceded 3. But from giving Tottenham their flowers is like, dude, they played exceptionally well. Their build-up play was on point. That ball was out of the defensive area as quick as possible, and they were on a counter. Something I'd expect United to be doing. So big kudos to them. And if they keep that type of performance up, they can definitely challenge for top 4.
No, 100%. So obviously, guys, as you can see there, we've got some comments regarding the United and Spurs. I'm just going to go through some of the comments that we see here. We've got obviously some United fans a bit disgruntled, and we've got one here from Ansley that says United play like a team that are just put together. They are a bunch of individuals. Every Saturday or Sunday, it's like the first time they see each other. And that's what we were just talking about, is like the lack of style of play, the lack of cohesiveness is like, it's so weird. Like United, they were like the game against Fulham. I watched the opening day, and against Crystal Palace, you're like, yes, this United team, and even against Brighton, it's like, damn, like United are actually playing like there's a style of football, and then all of a sudden there's just not. It's like there's one week they playing a certain style, the other week they're not, and I think this comment just highlights that. It's just like, okay, where's that coming from? Is that coming from the players? Is it coming from the manager changing his tactics? Why is there a breakdown in communication for the basics? It's like one game you're pressing high, the next game you're sitting back. It's like, but now I get you can have different tactics. Don't get me wrong, guys, but I mean, you can't change every week to the extremes. You know what I'm saying? Like you kind of have to see that style somehow, some way throughout the game. And I just think that's where United are kind of struggling at the moment. A couple more comments here. Another one we got here from Ansley says, don't compare, don't even compare ETH with Slot. Better to compare him with Good Evening. Obviously, we know he's talking about Unai Emre at Villa, and he says you can see a team at Villa. They play according to the manager's instructions, and I think ultimately that's where that's where United are going to struggle this season. Is that the teams around them have gotten better. Villa look more are consistent. Newcastle, I mean, they held City, which you're obviously going to move on to now. You got Arsenal, you got Liverpool and the Slot, who are like top of the league. You got City, you can maybe say Brighton even. There's like 6, 7 teams that are continuing to improve, and it looks like United are regressing. And I think if you United and United fans, I think that's where there's cause for concern, is that teams that are smaller than you in terms of stature, in terms of budget and everything, are seeming to be playing better than you. And that's when it becomes an issue. It's like, okay, you spent half the money that Brighton has, or we've 3 times the amount of money, I should rather say, than Brighton, but they're outperforming in terms of how they're playing. Yes, they lost to Chelsea, but they played well. They beat you guys already. They took a point against Arsenal. So Brighton, they've been doing really well. So I just think it's going to be a bit tough. Hag, I think, in my opinion, to really win the fans over again. I'm just going to go through a couple more comments here. We got from Liam. He says the referee killed the game, giving out cards left, right, and center. These Premier League refs need to understand you can't be trigger happy in big games. Even Madison said Bruno didn't deserve a red card. And I think we can all say, I think it's fair to say that I don't think that was a red card. I'm an Arsenal fan. I hate United a lot. I won't lie, but I'm not biased. That was not a red card. That I cannot actually. And this is the same ref that sent over Rice, guys, for this for kicking the ball away. It's the referees. I don't. Last week you had the Trossard issue. This week you've got the Bruno. It's like, why can't we just have a game week where the refs don't take center stage? You know what I'm saying? And that's what the frustration is also for fans, is that it's funny when it happens to other teams until it happens to your team. And then you start to see like, okay, no, we actually have a bigger issue at hand here, is that we have issues that the referees are incompetent. And once that can, I think, even be fixed, you'll see better results, better games. But obviously, I don't want to just talk too much on refs. I think we'll talk about it every week. Some more comments here. We've got one from Press X Play who says minor to inexperience to command the midfield. And I think that is true. I think you can't put your hopes on an 18-year-old. I think that's a bit unfair. You know, when you got guys like Casemiro, Mason Mount, Christian Eriksen, Bruno Fernandes, it's like even Rashford to an extent. There should be. I think that's what United are actually missing, guys, and it's so strange. United are missing leaders. United always had a dressing room full of leaders, and it's not so ironic. When I was obviously in high school, and Rudy can attest, Arsenal always seemed as a team that were weak, no underbelly, no leaders. Look at Arsenal now. I think, you can go through our entire team and you can pinpoint leaders. And I think with United, that's the struggle from the manager. He doesn't give off like, I'm in charge. He doesn't give you that energy. And then you have that. You've got some of the players. So I think if United are going to make a change, they need to make a leadership change. As I don't think giving Bruno captaincy was the right move, in my opinion. I think the captain's armband should have been floated around, because I don't think you have someone in this present moment who's a standout leader. I mean, Martinez, he's aggressive, doesn't make him a leader, It just means that sometimes you could be hot-headed and actually cost us. So I'm intrigued to see what happens with United for the remainder of the season, and I think obviously as we go on, I think we'll have more shows, and I'll try to get some of you guys back on just to see where we are from where we are now. Look, guys, I want to move on to the next topic at hand, and that's obviously your local rivals, the guys who've been they just did the 4-peat last season, and that's Man City being held to a 1-1 draw against Newcastle. Let me bring in Cello. Cello, obviously, City, this looks like it was three draws in a row in 2 different competitions. I mean, a draw against Atalanta, a draw against Arsenal, and then obviously now a draw against Newcastle. Are we seeing a little bit of a kink in their armor? No Rodri, no De Bruyne, or do you think, it's still early days? City, we know how they come back and how they can still win the league, or do you think, listen, they might be a bit vulnerable this season?
So you definitely can't say that's a kink, especially if they're not losing those games. Those are just draws. Yes, it's not 3 points, but if we're being honest, how much football has City played so far already? I think they've played probably the most football of any team right now, and for them not to be fatigued. Yes, I know there was a break during the course of the end of season, but coming back, obviously injuries play their role, things like that. Your key players not being there in the heart of midfield. So you will have those issues here and there, but to say that's a king, I say City easily come back, reclaim their spot from Liverpool, and then it's back to normal again. City on top, City win the league, then it's Arsenal, Liverpool chasing. So I don't really see I'd say a cause for concern for any citizens right now. Yes, these 3 draws does look like it's actually abnormal for a team of City size right now to be drawing consecutively, but it's not losses, and that's one thing to look at. They're still maintaining, they're still holding on. So yeah, that's how I feel about it.
100%. But let me bring in X. X, obviously, it must be tough talking about your local rivals in this kind of light, obviously, off the back of how you guys have been performing over the past, let's say, 10 years compared to them. But do you think that maybe we're starting to see a change at City, or do you think, like Ansley's saying here in the comment section, that City, come January, they switch on, they go 10, 15 games unbeaten and they win the league? Or do you think this time they might not be able to pull that rabbit out of the hat?
So this is not like the first. We've seen City doing that. Getting those draws the first like 10, or let me say the first quarter of the season. But one thing about Pep is, yes, that guy is a football genius. Like right now, you can check what he's doing. I'm not sure whether he's benching Foden because he's injured or he's benching Foden just to improve Savinho's what do you call these? Like to hype
Distract.
Savinho up in a way. He's playing Doku, benching who's the number 10 from Villa?
Grealish.
Grealish. He's benching Grealish, playing Doku more. So yeah, I don't. So City, we've seen Pep doing that before. So it's not gonna change anything. Come that last 20 games, they're gonna go 15 games unbeaten from January up until the end of the season. It's just their history. Like Pep loses or draw, he makes sure he draw or lose some the first 10 games. After that, he's unstoppable. His
100%. Let me bring it
rotation
to
is just perfect.
100%. And I think
Also,
obviously, yeah, Chelo,
sorry,
what's
just
up?
to add on to that, with regards to, you must understand, Newcastle City is never, it's never just a one way. You never know guarantee who's winning that game. It's always a close one, either by 1 goal margin, but might be 5 goals where it's a 3-2 win for City or 2-0. But it's never an easy game for them to go to City, to Newcastle and just roll them over, you know. So you have to take that into account. Take into account Inter's season that they had a killer season. So it's actually a lot of work that they're having to do without their main players in the midfield, you know. It's not to say they're not getting in. I mean, like, how many touches in the box did they have in that game against you guys? Who were they playing? There was almost like 80 touches in the box and no goal came through. I mean, they got 16 shots on goal, 16, and then they still draw that game. About 9 of them were on target. So I don't think
Yeah.
there's any issue with regards to, it's probably just tiredness, bro, if I'm being honest.
Mm.
Also, right now, who's replacing Haaland when he needs a rest? Who's going to be their go-to striker when
Yeah,
Haaland
that's
needs
that's
a
true.
rest?
Alvarez
You
is
know,
obviously gone.
with him gone, exactly. So maybe, as X is saying, there's probably a reason why Foden is being rested. I haven't been following City's injuries or anything, so I'm not sure if he's injured or he's just been rested. But I see Foden filling in at some point like a false, I don't know, like a floating line or something off the wing. But I don't see an issue for City at this point. They're just gonna bomb everybody over very soon. It won't be long until they start doing it now.
100%. Let me bring it to Rudy. Obviously, Rudy, when we were in school, we had just seen the emergence of City. I don't think we thought that in 10 years from then that we would be talking about them in this kind of light. Do you think that, this is by design from Pep? Like, for example, like X is saying, maybe the resting Foden, giving Savinho game time to maybe get him, to a level that if he's needed late in the season, he can be used? Or do you think, what, it's a bit of, how do I say it, Pep trying to tinker with his system purely because he's maybe trying to keep everything fresh? Or do you just think that, listen, City will get caught out this season, that, listen, they eventually, something has to give?
You know, for me, I see it as someone who is in charge of his house. He makes the rules and everyone follows. And if you don't follow, that's your problem. There's no begging and following players and caring about their emotions. It's like, this is my way or the highway. And he's got trophies to prove, his stance. I don't think City's going anywhere until Pep leaves. I think he's got a year left or two, if I'm not mistaken. This could be his last season or it's his next season. Only then when Pep leaves, then we can see, are City really, really, really City, or is it just because of Pep? Because he's been there 7 years, And yes, they won before Pep came, and they're winning after Pep. I mean, during Pep. So let's see if they win after Pep. And I think the 3 draws, in a season, every team has their dip. And City's dip is probably right now, but those chasing haven't had their dip yet. How do they
Yeah,
come?
facts.
How do you, for example, Arsenal? Right now, everything is great. You're winning. You're flying. Set pieces are going in. what if your dip comes in April? Now, when it starts, the mentality again is like, oh, you bottled the last 2 seasons. Look, you're bottling it. And it's just, then you guys are going to go get another dog called Win, and then nothing changes. I'm not even trying to be rude. Just to say that each team has a dip. United, we have a dip right now. We never know. We win the next 10 games, or we maybe in the next 10 games, we win 7 games, we draw 3. You understand? So I think fans today are very reactionary. Once you draw and lose, it's a crisis. But they forget
100%.
Premier League season, everyone has dips, and I think it's just City's dip right now.
100%. Look, I think also what's interesting this season is obviously there's a whole lot of more. There's a lot of other games happening this season. Term Champions League is a bit longer. City, us obviously still in the Carabao Cup. You've got FA Cup. You got more obviously internationals with obviously the Nations League qualifiers, or those, or not qualifiers, but the Nations League. I don't even know how this tournament works, but I won't even lie to you guys, right? What I will say though is that I think City without Rodri are significantly weaker. Not in a sense that I think they won't win the league, which I still put them as favorites. I mean, they've won 4 in a row. I just think that it's very telling when Rodri doesn't play. He's the one player in their side that's not replaceable. City can score goals. Listen, Haaland doesn't. You can't replace that kind of goal scorer, but you can get the goals from other players. But there's something that Rodri does for that team that nobody else can do. And listen, I was a bit, and this is not me speaking arrogantly, I was a bit, and maybe it's only 6 games into the season, but they're bringing back Gundogan. And it's like, will he be the Gundogan from 2-3 seasons ago, or is it still too early in the season? Is Gundogan the type of guy that comes alive March, April, May? You know what I'm saying? Then we look back and say, wow, stroke of genius. So I think as Arsenal fans, and I think being in the title race with City, it does this to you guys. Listen, you look for every little advantage. You know what I'm saying? It's September, but I'm happy Newcastle took a point from them. I'm like, Rodri being out. I'm not saying I wish for players to be injured, but like, he's injured, and that's the reality, and it makes him a bit weaker. So I'm like, okay, yes. So I think like I said, being in title race with City is probably, it's so crazy because it's like you think that you can get it done, and they're just always there. And I think we've got a comment here from Anthony that says I think it just sums up perfectly. It says squad management from Pep is basically good as long as they're in striking distance, and that's a very important point. I don't think there's no point being first, and Arsenal can be the prime examples of this. You were leading the league title, what, 2 seasons ago, all the way till like March, April, no, till April, and then from there we just lost it, and City were just always there waiting. So I think where Arsenal are now currently, I'm happy with us. I think we're currently third. I think we're a point behind Liverpool. Uneven power City. And I think the longer you can stay there in that mix, it will then come later on the season. Obviously, just want to speak about one of City's players, obviously Erling Haaland. Didn't get on the score sheet. Not yesterday, on Saturday. He scored against Arsenal, but the performance wasn't that great. You could see he was frustrated and rattled, even again on Saturday. Let me just bring it over to X. X, do you think that, listen, we're starting to see something like, again, this is I'm not here to question City's mentality, guys, don't get me wrong. I'm just here to say that, do you think that they may be feeling a bit more pressure this season, or do you think, this is just like Rudy was saying, it's just their dip, they'll be back, and then we can see City obviously going unbeaten, like you guys said, for another 10-15 games?
Yeah, I have to agree with Rudy. Yeah, it's just one of those, like I said, besides last season where they kind of like, but yeah, if you check their history, every single time they start slow and then they build it up as the season goes by. But yeah, it's still early to know to like speculate, but I think, yeah, it's just City's play, man. They start slow and they finish very strong.
But see, and obviously, look, it's a bit tough for us to discuss City in that much depth without a City fan or City perspective on the panel. So, look, I'm just reading some of the comments here. Another one from Dane here says, obviously, Rudy, this is directed to you. He says, Arsenal battled 2022, 2023. They didn't battle last season. We won 16 of our last 18 games. That's not battling. And I think I have to agree. And listen, guys, if you don't know Rudy like I know Rudy, this guy's not going to give Arsenal an inch. He's not going to give you no leeway. So, look, I think you can, well, however you look at it, I think Arsenal didn't win the league, and ultimately that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like we didn't win the league. I think you get respect from rivals once you win. If Arsenal win the league this season, you can hate on us or you can hate Arsenal, but the respect will be there. You know what I'm saying? We have to earn our respect, and that's why for me it's like I'm kind of happy with the position that we're in now. Like, you know, I've got pundits and fans, rival fans just going against us saying, are we doing dark arts, everything, whatever. It's perfect because you need to earn the respect. That's the sign of the respect when they can't attack your actual football and your character. So they go for the things that they know will like irritate you. You know what I'm saying? I think it's more copium for them than I think it is against us. Yeah, Rudy, you can come through, bro.
Question for you, Shannon. The last 3-4 years, you guys have really challenged, right? I have a question. How would you feel if it all ends in like it just fizzles out, and you don't ever like you don't lift the Premier League with like in the next 5 years? Like, what if you don't? What if Liverpool win it before you, or we come back by some miracle, or I don't know, Spurs wins it before you? How would you really feel? Because
that's a great question. No, that would hurt. It would, guys, don't get me wrong, it would hurt, and I think Ruiz put me on the spot here. But I also think context is important. You know what I'm saying? Like when we quote unquote bottled the league, that hurt because it was like you were in charge of it the whole time. Last season was a bit more of a title challenge where it wasn't in anyone's hands for too long. It kept on switching. Look, if Arteta is not winning anything, you know, let's say by the end of next season, then I think, you know what, maybe it's time to look somewhere else. But at the same time, like I'm a firm believer of like your 10,000 hours, bro. It's like if you put in if you continue just to do the right things, if something's got to give. You know what I'm saying? Something has got to give. Like I don't think you can compete. Like, and people will say, "Oh, look at Spurs. Spurs competed. Spurs competed for one league title. Let's just get that right. Spurs competed once, bro. You know what I'm saying? The first time, and I always say this to people, this is Arteta's fifth full season, or I think, or fourth. Okay, look at the progression. It's 2 8th place finishes, and then it's second and second. But the context of those second place finishes are also what's unique is that this stuff when we didn't win when we bottled the league, as fans would like to say, is that no one even expected us to win the league. We were fifth the season before that, and now we suddenly were in a position where we could win the league. So you look at the mentality there, and you maybe think, okay, the guys weren't ready. Again, next season, which is last season, we go up a level again. We get our most points tally, most goals, the least we conceded, and now this season again, having played the teams we played Villa Park, we played White Hart Lane, we played Etihad. 7 out of 9 shows me that we're on the right route. And listen, Arteta might not win the league, but I mean, he might, luck of the draw, end up in a Champions League final, and there we have it. Then we might finish third and win the Champions League, and then it's like, okay, cool. Arsenal fans are happy. So, really, just to answer your question, but I think it's just context, bro. I think if Arsenal really fall off, like Liverpool can win the league. People must understand this is like Liverpool have league winners in their side currently. They've got a good squad. This whole thing of Liverpool, we've got a new coach, so we shouldn't be challenging is rubbish, bro. It's rubbish. I'm not gonna buy that. I'm sorry, I don't buy from any Liverpool fan. Like you don't suddenly have a very crappy team. Klopp didn't leave you in some anguish position that you guys are struggling. So if Liverpool were to do it, would it upset me? Obviously, because I would like it to be us. But again, I think context is important, and I think that's the perfect caveat. I think let's move it on to the other games of the weekend. Obviously, we saw Arsenal come from really weird game, guys. Arsenal obviously winning 4-2 in the end, 2-0 up at halftime. Then Leicester bring the game back to 2-2 in 15 minutes. Wonder strike from James Justin. Obviously, Arsenal just, in the last couple of minutes of the game getting another 2 goals. I saw online and a lot of people saying Arsenal were lucky. I mean, guys, I just read you some of the stats here quickly. Arsenal had 36 shots on Saturday, which was our highest for, I don't even know how many seasons. I just actually want to get the match stats here. If I can just actually get it up. Just give me 1 sec. I'm just getting the stats.
Okay. You guys were knocking on the door there. I don't think there was any luck, especially to
none.
No.
Yeah, none. No, I just want to see if I can find the start, guys. You can just see some of the stats, man. But anyway, that's not the most important thing. I just think that we people say it was luck, but I think it shows a certain level of mentality. When I was watching the game, I was like, this goal is going to come. This winner is going to come, and I think. Obviously, I'll bring it to the panel to just discuss Arsenal because I feel like to talk about my own team is a bit vain. Rui, bro, obviously, we've had a lot of history, you and I, in terms of bantering each other's teams and, how it always was. But do you think Arsenal are generally in a position where they can take the title this season, or do you think, you know what, something that City still has over Arsenal will prevail, or do you think, listen, there is something that you see in Arsenal this season that maybe makes you think that they can definitely get it right?
First. Can you
We
guys hear
lost
me?
Rudy there first. Yeah, we can. I think you came back, bro. You just came back now.
Can you hear me? We're good.
Yeah.
I can't hear you, eh? What's going on? All right, cool. So I can't lie, yeah. I started supporting Man United since I was 3 years old, and I was raised to hate Arsenal, you know? So I can't lie. What I'm seeing hurts me like more than a breakup. Do you understand? You know, like I remember I got married 2 weeks ago. My wife was walking down the aisle. I asked my groomsman, what's the score? That's how much I love Man United. We were playing against, can't remember on the 14. Was it Brighton? Not Brighton? Can't remember. And we won that game 3-0. We just scored 2 goals. So just to say, I really love Man United and I really hate Arsenal. So seeing what you guys have been doing the last really, really hurts. And if I'm honest, you guys are really capable of winning the league. It's just if City just slip up and can't come back, because eventually you do run out of steam. I'm a United fan. We won my whole childhood and we just ran out of steam. We just couldn't come back. And we've been trying for 10, 11 years. We're not coming back, you know? So if City slip up and if Liverpool don't just reach, it's yoga. And I don't know what I would do with myself. I think I'd get off social media. I don't know what I would do, but I'm not ready for the day you guys win the league, because I see Arteta's becoming more and more ruthless with his ways. Before he was like, ugh, Arteta. But now, man, you guys have this mean streak about you. You guys got this thing where no one is just going to walk up to any player and no one's going to handle them. There's Gabby, there's Saliba, all these big guys are going to come in for their players and protect them and support them. And there's like a siege mentality going on there that was created by Arteta, you know. So I hate to say this, but you guys could. I hate it, bro. Trust me. I'd rather City win 7 in a row than you guys win a trophy, because City will never be as big as United no matter what. You guys
Yeah, I
winning a
get.
trophy.
I'll always maintain this. Sorry, Chelo. This is one thing I always maintain, guys. I think, listen, historically, Liverpool and United are rivals. But in terms of Premier League and having competed for trophies against each other, there's no bigger rivalry, in my opinion, in England than United and Arsenal. Like genuine rivalry. Like if you look at what the Premier League was built of, Liverpool and United have never competed for a league title against each other. Since I can remember. But Arsenal and United, every season under Ferguson and Wenger were the top two until Mourinho came. So that's where most of us get our, we were all young at that time. That's where we get our the teams that we support. But Chelo, let me just bring it to you, bro. Obviously, over the last couple of weeks, people are saying at Arsenal dark arts. They're saying can Arsenal really score goals and that kind of thing. And then you look, obviously, people saying we're super defensive against City without giving the context of us being down to 10 men. You look at the stats from the game on Saturday. You look at how many goals we should have probably scored. I mean, how many saves the keeper made. That keeper made the record amount of saves in a Premier League game. You know who the last keeper to get that same amount was? David De Gea against Arsenal. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it was just against Saturday was one of those games where you just look at Leicester's 2 goals came out of nothing and nowhere, and that was like why I wasn't really frustrated and didn't think we'd draw, because the Leicester didn't pose a threat. If I'm being completely honest with you, Leicester had I think 4 shots the whole game, scored 2. I mean, that's a great conversion rate, but you just look at Arsenal, and I obviously just to bring it to you. Do you think that Arsenal just need to get over the line in any which way, whether it's the dark arts that people are complaining about, or do you just think that, listen, regardless of what Arsenal are going to do this season, City are still going to have too much for them, or do you think there'll be a passing of the mantle this season?
For me, I think all that gibberish from the back, bro. You win. A win is a win. Whether it's a 1-0 win, it's a scrape, whatever, it's a win. And it counts at the end of the day. No one's going to remember that game at the end of the season, which you guys played and won by a corner or something like that, from a set piece. No one's going to remember. If you win in the league and that was the game that decided it, is that really going to be the main talk of the town, or the fact that you guys won the league? So for me, I think in the last 2 seasons, 3 seasons, we can add in, Arsenal as a whole has done everything right to try and win the league. It's just unfortunate who you competing with. It's literally like a David and Goliath situation right now. And let's be honest, I'm probably gonna get some hate, but the time Liverpool took that league from City, it was a one of one and never would have happened again. Liverpool wouldn't do that to City at this point unless City themselves start failing.
On that
But
point, yeah.
yeah, I don't. There's no chance of that happening. And right now, if you have to put in terms of the way, the style of play over the last 2 seasons, and just everything that's been going on around the club, Arsenal are looking like bigger favorites than City. I mean, not than City, than Liverpool in terms of who would be competing with City right now. Yes, Liverpool are doing good right now. They, as Rudy said, I don't know if it's Rudy or Ed said, they haven't yet hit their dip. And when they
And
do,
played
that's
anyone.
exactly that's where City says, "Come here." That's when Arsenal say, "Come here." You get what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
for
sure.
Arsenal right now, like Rudy said just now, I hate what's happening with Arsenal right now. I hate it. And if a United fan is saying they hate that, that means Arsenal are doing everything right in all departments. I mean, as you said, in each zone of the field, bro, there is a leader. From the back, middle, front, there's a leader. You can always count on somebody to bring an impact into the game, And I think you also worked on the thing of squad depth. People always spoke about, oh yeah, squad depth. Once they start getting injuries, I think slowly but surely you have started to fix that problem. Um, right now, it's and that's I think is the reason why people say Arsenal bottled the league because it was in your hands to win the league and no one else's. Like
Yeah,
you
no,
didn't
I
have to
agree.
depend on anybody else but yourselves to make sure that. So that's what separates being the best in the league everybody else is that once I grab hold of this thing, I'm not letting go. We're going all the way. And if you
The
want to talk
way.
about the competition we had back then, that's literally how it went. You never see United or Arsenal dropping out of that top three when it's when they're going for the title.
But
It was
the
always
title,
first,
100%.
second. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm.
I feel like Arsenal are gonna be there on top, fighting it out. But City's gonna come in there with that little knockout, and then it's again Arsenal bottle the league. So it's just one of those right now. You can
Look,
sugarcoat it and say we competed, we fought, this was happening. When you don't win it after fighting, it's bottled. Whether you like it or not, it's bottling, bro.
look. Like I said, that's I think. I think ultimately is Arsenal need to earn respect. X, I'm going to bring it to you quickly, but obviously I don't want to linger on this topic too much. I think there's not much to say on this game. But what I will say though is I think the advantage Arsenal finally have, and it's a weird advantage, is the fixtures. You go into the reverse fixtures. I mean, we will only go to. I think we will in the new year. I think we only go to Anfield and to Old Trafford, which are two tougher places to go. Don't get me wrong, right? But in the second half of the season, you welcome Chelsea, you welcome Spurs, you welcome Villa, you welcome City, to the Emirates, which I think is a big advantage. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, I'm not saying City are at their peak, but I think at their home ground, for us to get the result that we did, I think that was a big psychological win. Even look, we didn't win. Don't get me wrong. And that last minute goal was sucker punch. But I do think that the fixtures in return could play into our favor. X, just quickly, bro. Arsenal, obviously getting quite a big win over the weekend. Do you think that, like I asked the guys on the, is that, do you think it's possible for Arsenal to get over the line, given the fact that City look slightly weaker, or do you think it's still too early? Let's talk about this 15, 20 games down the line. Hey, what is it?
Sorry, Shane, can you repeat your question?
Oh, no problem, bro. I was just saying, basically, obviously, from what you've seen from Arsenal so far, do you think that Arsenal can, get it over the line, or do you think, this is the conversation we should be having 15, 20, 25 games down the line?
Listen, like we said, with City having that thing of coming back later on the season, I think at the end of the day, also, I look at the Premier League clubs and like the gents are saying, only Arsenal can compete with City for the league. So it's just a matter of time for City to sleep, and then Arsenal will definitely take the league. As Arsenal has a very good chance to take the league. They're currently doing well, and also the guys coming to the game that you played over the weekend. The guy says that it was luck for you to win that game. How is it? It was luck. If you check the number of shots that you had, over 15 shots in that match. You had over 800. What do you call these? 800 touches, over 600 passes. That's not luck. That means Arsenal was controlling that game. So yeah, but yeah, just to answer your question, Chen, yeah, I think it's just a matter of Man City. They just need to sleep, and then you take that lead. You the Arsenal's the only team really that can compete with Man City right now. Liverpool has a good squad. What do you call it? Villa. I think they're also like trying and all that, but yeah, all those they're not in the level of Arsenal right now in terms of competing for that league.
No, 100%. And look, I think I actually moving on to our next topic. I think one of the dark horses for the top four and maybe a title challenge depending on how far their form goes. But gents, Cole Palmer, let's talk about him. I think it'll be unfair not to mention that boy. I think, listen, you just look at City. This is what makes City so crazy, that they can let go of a player like that and then still win the league. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what the hell is Pep doing? They're like, what are City like producing to the fact that they can let go of a guy like Cole Palmer to a direct rival in Chelsea, and look, guys, it seems like nothing phases this kid. Rudy, bro, obviously, you've seen Cole Palmer over the past season. Do you think that, listen, we're looking at probably one of the best players in the league and maybe across Europe? And do you think Chelsea have a good chance of finishing the top four, maybe even mounting a title challenge?
You know what Pep did? It's what you call ruthlessness. It's like, you're not good enough for me. Thank you very much. And I think Cole Palmer found himself in a typical position of right place, right time, because he could have gone to Fulham and he would have just gone under the radar. So he found himself at the right place at the right time and in a system that suits him, because oftentimes that's what footballers need. An environment that suits them, a place that makes them thrive. know. And I think being one of the best English talents ever, that's what I'm doing today. When someone has 20 games of being good, oh my God, he's the best thing. We had guys doing this for like 10 years, 15 years. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I think let him do his thing. Let him do what he needs to do. And he will eventually get that title of one of the best English talents ever, because there's too many people to name before him that have done it consistently. Because elite sports
No,
is about
100%.
understand, right?
Consistency, 100%.
Yeah, so yeah, I think he's doing great. He's doing fantastic. His moment, it's his time, and I wish him all the best. As for Man, as
100%.
for the, mounting a title challenge and finishing top four, I don't see why not. To be honest, again, they haven't had a dip. You know what I'm saying? I always like to see teams when they are challenging and they have a dip. How long does the dip last, and how quick can they come?
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Because again, Chelsea, there's a lot of egos there, and we are gents. We know how it goes. You put too many gents in one place for a long time, you start to butt it,
Yeah,
But
facts.
but the longer you keep winning, the less opportunity for the egos to, go over.
To go
But
100%, bro.
difficult times, then the egos rising. And I know you're going to ask about Jadon Sancho. Let me just get in there. Honestly, I wish him all the best. Ten Hag, I don't know what he's thinking, but also, again, the society and the environment at Manchester United never suited Jadon Sancho. And that's all I have to say about him. Although he got given 3-month leave for his mental health issues, came back, disrespected the coach, speaks a lot of volumes about the type of person that he is. But yeah, no comments.
No, 100%. Let me bring it to Cello. Cello, obviously, let's touch on obviously quickly on Chelsea and Cole Palmer. You obviously seen Jadon Sancho there, like Rudy's mentioning, obviously three assists in 3 games. Do you think that this Chelsea team is something we need to take seriously, or do you think, like Rudy's saying, slow your roll, let's give it time, let's wait to see till they play teams of significant quality, because all they've played now, in all due respect, is Man City on the first game of the season. But other than that, they've played against teams that you would expect Chelsea to beat. Chelo, do you think that, like I said, do you think Chelsea's a team you take seriously, or do you think, you know what, let's just all slow our roll and let them also just develop under Maresca?
I think yes, 100%. We let them do their thing, let them win. But to say you don't need to take them serious is it'd be foolish. Chelsea for the longest time, like I've said to quite a few people, like you can say what you want to say, but in terms of squad depth, they've got more than enough to change whatever they want to. And the fact that Maresca did what he did and said, yeah, as ruthless as it was, it actually helped the team, because now when you're starting, you know that this is the starting 11, this is your bench. So players kind of get to know what their position in the team is. It starts to bring calmness. It starts to bring, there's some sort of order that comes around. That team chemistry starts to build. Whereas you've got 45 plus players all fighting for the same positions, and nobody's certain of their position besides the odd big name player here and there. But Chelsea are going to give a lot of teams a problem this season. I have no doubt about that. With regards to Cole Palmer, oh my gosh, that man is going to score a lot of goals this season. He's shown it from the time he started with Chelsea, going into England, scoring goals where he could when he did start. So to say that, oh, we have to wait and give him time, there's not many that are doing it from his position right now, So I'm all in for the Cole Palmer hype. I'm all for it right now. That boy is just too much, So there's no way you can count him out. He's going to be there in the Golden Boot talk. So yeah, let's just see how Chelsea do. But I definitely see a top four finish for them. A title push. Neither here nor there for now. As we said, we're gonna see them against, a bit more of a higher opposition. Get in
100%.
there with Liverpool, get in there with Villa. Let's see what happens there. Get in there with the Arsenal. Let's see what's going on there. I know a game against United is always a big deal for Chelsea too. So those games are very impactful to the season, And the games they're winning now are the ones they were losing last season. So you get
Facts.
those games over the line, versus Liverpool, Arsenal, City, Chelsea. United here and there. Fine, that's about a couple of points. But if you're beating those teams that you struggled with last season, you
You're
already
gonna end
done
up
half the
somewhere.
job.
Sorry, guys.
Exactly.
100%.
Already
100%. And look,
get than what they got last season, from just the way they're playing right now.
like 100%. And look, I think Chelsea are definitely a team to keep our eye on. Guys, obviously, just looking at time now, let's just quickly round off the weekend's results in the Big Six, or the top six, should I rather say, with Liverpool. And I think, it's obviously not something that you United guys are going to be talking about too much. Obviously, praising Liverpool, praising Arsenal, City. It's a bit of a tough time to be a United fan. But Liverpool looking good. Obviously, they had a slight blip against Forest in the league, going down 1-0. But since then, they bounced back quite convincingly. I mean, beating AC Milan, like thrashing them at the San Siro, beating Bournemouth convincingly. And obviously, look, to a win against Wolves at Wolves is never easy. Rudy, do you think that, listen, bro, like I said earlier, that Liverpool should definitely be mounting a title challenge, or do you think maybe a consolidating season, maybe another third place finish, maybe a good cup run again, and that's just a good start for Arne Slot?
To be honest, yeah, I think Liverpool are probably enjoying being the dark horses, because when I say dark horses, in that top three, everyone is like Man City, Arsenal, Arteta, Pep, dark arts, Holland throwing the ball at Gabriel. No. But Liverpool are just there, bro. Quiet. Going on about their business. No one's making too much noise about them. The only time people make noise is when, for example, he's inherited a team from Jurgen Klopp and, etc., etc. But no one is really putting their name up like Arsenal and Man City. And that could work in their favor, because there's no pressure. There's no you will bottle it, or there's no all of this nonsense, because there's just
it's like a free hit almost in a sense.
not playing with any pressure, any fear, because Arsenal need to prove a point because the last 2 seasons. Man City need to prove a point because Arsenal's been challenging, And in Liverpool, no pressure, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I think they're in a great position, to be honest. So, yeah.
No, 100%. X, let me just obviously bring it to you before we just round off the show. Obviously, you being a United fan, I'm sure it pains you to have to praise Liverpool, but like, do you agree with Rudy that, listen, Liverpool maybe should just take it game by game and let's see where they are come January, March, or January, February, March, and if they within touching distance, they should go for the league, or do you think let's not put too much pressure on them now, let them have their season, and then obviously look to really mount the title challenge from next season?
Yeah, we shouldn't actually put pressure on Liverpool. For me, checking how they're playing and all that, I think Liverpool and Chelsea, they are the underdogs. It's just the only thing that is a bit concerning. It's that I believe next year there's that African Cup, right?
You back?
All right. Yeah, I think we shouldn't put much pressure on Liverpool. I think for me they are the underdogs because no one really talks about them. It's all about Arsenal, Man City, and for some reason it's all about United, even though you can't even see them on the log, but it's just Man City, Arsenal, United. The only thing about Liverpool though is that I think next year is it that African Cup of Nation, if I'm not mistaken, where they're gonna lose Salah, which is currently one of their biggest player that they truly need. I think that can dent them a bit. But yeah, I think they are the underdogs at the moment, especially since no one is paying attention on them. They can, yeah, they can hit Man City and Arsenal. But yeah, I think the pressure that they don't have right now, they must take the advantage of it and just take one game at a time.
100%. So, guys, they've heard it here and first. Obviously, we've discussed the top 6 teams, obviously just going through the results. Everybody that's left us comments today, if you've missed some of your comments, we do apologize, guys. We've ran a bit over time today. Obviously, there was quite a bit to discuss. Obviously, a lot of passion from the guys from Old Trafford, obviously just wanting to give their opinions on what they're seeing with their team currently. Guys, obviously, we'll be back on Friday with another episode, probably around the same time, previewing the weekend's fixtures. I will, though, be going live on what's tomorrow? Tuesday? Yeah, tomorrow evening on the Ghana's Voice podcast, just doing a little bit of a preview for the PSG game. So if you're an Arsenal fan, make sure you find your way there. As always, guys, please don't forget to hit the like button, to subscribe, and obviously just get in touch via comments. To my panel, to the guys that had to leave early, thank you so much for being here. To my 2 gentlemen that are still here, Rudy and X. Gents, thank you so much for coming through. And obviously, like to everybody that's viewed, thank you for your support. And we will see you on the next Talk 6 show on Friday. Have a good one, people.